How's it going?
Question right here on the front.
AFB Baton Rouge. You running the football. At the Manning camp, there were some jokes about you need to learn to get out of bounds, not take some shots, right?
Yeah.
And yet your teammates and your fans love the physical game that you bring. So how do you balance those two things, win football games and a championship?
So I actually think that if you slide, more people get hurt when they slide than if they don't. And if you don't slide, you're going to be really sore, but I don't think you're going to get hurt. You see people slide and someone will dive into their ankle, they'll twist their ankle, they'll twist their knee. So that's part of it. And you also want to be smart and get out of bounds if there's a 250-pound linebacker chasing you down who's faster, stronger, and bigger than you. So yeah, I'll get out of bounds in that situation for sure.
Second row to your right.
Joe, Doug Amos, ESPN The Ticket, Montgomery. Coming out of the academy, you were on some radio stations and talked about people aren't used to seeing LSU score 40, 50, 60 points a game. Seems like you're coming into the season with a lot of confidence. What's that based on, the new look with Brady or what?
Yeah, so last year we had, I think, 9 or 10 new starters on offense. And so the main thing is we have everybody back. And we only lost 2 guys that really played a lot for us on offense last year. So the experience coming back is the main thing. And there's some new concepts that we have that I'm really excited about.
To your right.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. A couple of questions for you. The first one is, LSU fans have heard before in the past that the offense is going to look different. So for those jaded fans that are worried that it might actually look different, what would you say to them on how the LSU offense is going to be different this year?
Well, I would say that if it doesn't look different, I will be very surprised too, because that'll mean we'll completely changing who we are a month before the season starts. So I would be very surprised as well.
Can you give them any secrets, any hints whatsoever?
You want all the secrets, huh?
I mean, a secret for the fans, like just one.
So the whole thing with this offense is getting our playmakers in space with accurate balls and timing and allowing them to go make plays against players that I think we can utilize their matchups.
Perfect. My second question is something that I've been talking about with the commissioner, talked about with you guys when I visited, just the importance of mental health and talking about mental health. What role do you think leaders on the team, such as yourself, play in saying, hey man, I've struggled with that, or I'm not okay, or I've been there before, to destigmatize this idea that we can't, or it's not masculine to talk about mental health?
Yeah, that's a big thing going on in the country right now. Is I think we are shifting towards, being manly is expressing your feelings, and I think we can see it shifting in our country right now. I think that's a really good thing. As far as being a leader, I think, one, it is important to talk about adversity that you have faced and low points in your life to show that it is okay to be depressed. It is okay to be sad and anxious and have anxiety. And I think also as a leader, it's important to kind of look out for it with people that might not be as comfortable sharing it. And so I think those are 2 critical points of being a leader.
To your left, front row.
Joe, you started your career at Ohio State. Can you just talk about kind of the transition playing in a big-time environment in a place like the Horseshoe to going to maybe one of the best environments in all of sports, which of course is Death Valley?
Yeah, so Louisiana and Ohio are definitely not the same place. There's a lot of differences, and there's also a lot of similarities just because it's big-time college football. But the fans are very crazy in both places. The food, Louisiana's better than Ohio food, okay? But so here's the thing about Louisiana food is they don't know how to make a lot of things. They do one thing really, really well. In Ohio, there's a lot of fairly decent things. And so that's the main difference in the food. I don't know if you were asking about the food, but I kind of just went off on a tangent there. Yeah, big-time college football, both places.
Front row.
Yeah, Ben Manouche from 103.9 in Huntsville, Alabama. Joe, how comfortable have you gotten in this new look offense that you will be showing this year? And how big of a change is it from last year to where, like, have you had to make a lot of changes in yourself and how you view practice with this new offense?
No, I really haven't, because this kind of offense, this style of offense is what I've been doing since I was 14 and 15. No huddle, get the ball out fast. So that's kind of what I was comfortable with, and I had to get comfortable doing the other style of offense last year when I first got here. So now I'm more comfortable with both things, and I think we're doing a very good job of implementing both of them in this offense.
To your left, standing up.
Hey, Joe. Jacques Doucet, WAFB-TV in Baton Rouge. A couple of questions. What is your schedule like this fall? I mean, you have like maybe one class you have to take, or how much time can you devote into, being a quarterback?
Yeah, so three classes is full-time when you're in grad school. So I have to take 3, but they're all online. So I kind of just portion out 2 or 3 days a week, like an hour that I do all my work. And then the rest of the time is really either at the facility, eating, or sleeping. That's just about all I do, to be honest.
And a not so serious question for you, since we should maybe joke around a little bit here. During the summer, did you binge watch anything on Netflix? Or...
Stranger Things last week. I'm sure just about everybody here has. So I was telling somebody earlier, the hurricane knocked my power out. Not my power, but my internet this weekend, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos on my phone about physics. So that's interesting for me, yeah.
What'd you learn about physics, Joe?
I mean, how long do you want to be here? So I watched a lot of videos about relativity, quantum mechanics, black holes, wormholes, white holes, electrons, neutrons, neutron stars. So all that stuff, all that good stuff.
Front row, to your right.
WAFF, Huntsville, Alabama. So you got some hard road games this year. You got to play Texas at Texas, Alabama at Alabama. You're now an experienced quarterback in the SEC. So what big steps do you plan to take, to get your team to the SEC championship?
Yeah, I think that's the goal for everybody in the conference. And so I think it's kind of cliche to say, we're going to go to the SEC championship. And I think if that's obviously the end goal, but I think you need to create little goals each week that if you reach those and those cumulative goals add up to where you need to be in the SEC championship.
Right here, second row.
Soraya Ponder, Tuscaloosa News. So Coach O said earlier that he feels as if this is the best secondary he's ever seen or been around. How do you feel about you guys' secondary? And my second question is, how do you feel that the offensive linemen are adapting to this new offense?
Yeah, so I think obviously we have one of the best secondaries in the country. We have some young guys that are as good at that age that I've ever seen. So those guys, it's going to be hard to throw against us. It is. And I think for me, going up against that every day in practice, I'm really excited about, because that's going to make me, our receivers, and our offense a lot better. And as far as the offensive line, I think they're excited that we're getting the ball out of our hands faster. We're having more options in routes, getting 4 guys out in routes, and that's going to allow me to get the ball out faster and make them not block as long, to be honest, and that's always helpful for offensive linemen.
Second row on your left.
Hey, Joe. A really big game for you guys this year, as it is every year as a rivalry game, is the game against Auburn. It's going to be in Baton Rouge, a place that Auburn has not won since 1999. What do you think is the magnitude of that game, kind of early in the SEC schedule for you guys? How big is that game to win and really get momentum? And what do you think about the challenge that Auburn is going to present this year?
So Auburn is obviously they obviously have a lot of talent every year, and that was my first SEC game last year, and it was, kind of a shock to me playing in that environment, and I got used to it as the game went on. But it's obviously going to be very critical that we play very well in that game, and I think that game starts like a 4-game stretch where we play some of the tougher teams in the conference, and so starting that streak off strong is going to be very critical.
Right here in the front.
Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Joe, I know you guys don't want to give away any secrets schematically, but as far as the guys you work with every day, who are some maybe one or two offensive guys you think you're going to break out this year for you guys at LSU?
I think Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase are two guys who were true freshmen last year. Played really well at times, and I think those guys have the talent to be some of the best receivers in the country. I'm really excited to see what those two guys are gonna show this year.
Second row here on your left.
Can you just talk a little bit about Coach Moffitt and the role he's played in your progress?
Yeah, so the style of workouts that Coach Moffitt implements are a lot different from what I've kind of experienced in the past. And, they're very, very effective, and I wasn't sure how effective they're going to be when I first got here. And I see my body changing, getting stronger than I've ever been before. So I'm really glad that I've been able to work with Coach Moffitt and see what he can do with my body.
To your right, third row.
Looking at the end of the season last year when you guys had that 7 overtime game against Texas A&M.
Thanks for bringing that up, by the way.
Just for you. Does that change your outlook on playing them again this year? And do you think this is a start of a rivalry maybe?
So I've gotten a lot of rivalry questions today about like 4 or 5 different teams. You can't have that many rivals, but that is kind of a game that I'm looking forward to this year, just because of the way it ended. It was such a hard-fought game, and when you lose a game in which you play basically 2 games in one, it's not very fun. And then on top of it, sorry, I'm going off on another tangent. So on the flight back, it was too foggy in Baton Rouge, so we had to fly to New Orleans and then wait for the buses in Baton Rouge to drive to New Orleans to pick us up and then drive all the way back. So we barely slept, and that whole night just was not very fun. So I'm looking forward to that one this year for sure.
2 questions left. First, right here in the purple shirt. Just talk loud, you'll be fine.
Just how much do you want to factor into the run game this year? Obviously, we saw more of it towards the latter portion of the season when Miles got healthy. Is that something you feel like you can be an asset?
You're saying me personally in the run game? Yeah. I'm going to do whatever my coaches ask me to do, whatever it takes to win games. You saw in the Texas A&M game, I ran the ball almost 30 times, and that really wasn't the plan going in, but that was what the game called for. So, if I have to throw it 60 times to win, if I have to run it 30 times to win, I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Last question to your left.
Joe, you have so much to do between now and November, but people ask about Alabama every day, and can LSU compete against Alabama this year? What did you learn? Was it last November? Did you see how far you guys have to come in terms of scoring points and competing against those guys?
Yeah, for sure. They're, obviously last year was not very fun playing at Alabama. They kicked our butts, but I think if you go into a year saying we're going to focus on this team, we're going to beat this team, you kind of handcuff yourself in every other game. And I think if we go into the season thinking we're going to dominate every team in front of us, then that's the recipe for victory. And if you don't, like I said, I don't think you can focus on one team going into the year.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.